The first time Leora felt Ash's heartbeat, it wasn't in the quiet moments they shared beneath the trees. It wasn't when he nuzzled her in the dark of night, or when he stood guard by her side as the world slept. No. The first time she felt his heartbeat was the day she was born, the same day he was. As she took her first breath, a storm howled through the mountains, and in the wild silence that followed, something ancient stirred deep in the earth. In the distance, a wolfhound pup with golden eyes opened his and let out a soft whine, feeling her existence even from miles away. The bond between them was not just forged by time, it was written in the stars. For years, Leora didn't understand the depth of it. She only knew that Ash was more than a dog. He was her heart's echo, and when the world called them to protect something sacred, she understood, without words, without explanation, that they were meant to be together, for as long as the stars shined above them. But when the first darkness began to rise, when the wild started to wither, Leora realized that saving the world meant something far greater than protecting the land. It meant protecting the only thing that had ever truly understood her, the only thing that had ever felt like home. The storm raged fiercely that night, a wild tempest that twisted the trees and made the earth tremble. In the heart of a village tucked between the mist-covered mountains, 2 births occurred, births that were destined to change the world forever. Leora's first cry echoed through the small cottage, filled with the warmth of a fire and the
love of her parents, Mara and Elias. But as the rain poured outside, there was something strange about the way the clouds parted in the sky, revealing a fleeting glimpse of a comet, glowing like a silver thread weaving through the night. At the
same moment, far in the woods, a wolfhound pup named Ash was born to a litter of 9. He was the smallest, his body fragile and thin. His siblings clamored for warmth, but Ash seemed to draw power from something greater, something unseen. His eyes opened far sooner than any of his brothers or sisters, and the world around him seemed to hum with quiet understanding. The villagers knew, even before the elders whispered the old tales, that something ancient was at work. The child and the pup were bound in ways that only the stars could comprehend. It was a secret they could not yet understand. By the time Leora turned 6, it was clear that she was not like the other children. While her friends played games, chasing each other through fields of wildflowers, Leora would often sit by the edge of the forest, her legs crossed, watching the animals as they came closer to her. Her parents were initially concerned, but the village healer, a wise woman named Alara, told them that Leora had the gift of the wild, a rare ability to understand animals and communicate with them in ways that felt almost natural. Ash, now a fully grown wolfhound, was always by her side. He was her protector and her companion, following her everywhere. He had grown tall and strong, but there was something ethereal about the bond they shared. When Leora called out, to him it wasn't with words. It was with her thoughts, her heart. One day, while walking through the forest with Ash, Leora knelt down to pet a rabbit. She could feel its pulse, its heart beating in harmony with hers. And as her fingers grazed its fur, she saw a vision, a clear image of a large stone hidden deep in the woods, glowing with the light of 1,000 stars. "Do you see that, Ash?" she whispered, her voice soft, as if speaking too loudly would shatter the vision. Ash turned his head, his golden eyes narrowing as if to say, "I see it too." They shared a moment of quiet understanding, and in that instant, both of them knew that the forest was calling them. They had to find the stone. The next morning, Leora and Ash set out early, the sun barely rising over the peaks of the mountains. The forest was silent, as if holding its breath, and the air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth. They walked through the trees, guided by an unseen force that both pulled and comforted them. The deeper they ventured, the more the forest seemed alive. The birds seemed to sing in harmony, and the leaves rustled as if whispering secrets. Leora felt an overwhelming sense of familiarity, as though the forest had always been her home, and she was just now returning after a long absence. Ash, ever watchful, kept close. His fur bristled occasionally, but Leora knew that they were nearing something important. As the sun climbed higher, they reached the clearing. At the center of the clearing, half buried in the earth, was a large, smooth stone. It shimmered faintly, glowing with a light that seemed to pulse in rhythm with Leora's heart. She knelt down beside it, her fingers brushing the surface, and the moment she touched it, the world around her shifted. The wind picked up, swirling violently, and the stone began to hum. The forest around them seemed to wake, its trees creaking as if stretching after a long sleep. Ash growled low, protective, but Leora was undeterred. She knew this was the moment. The voice came without warning, deep and resonant, echoing in her mind. "You have come, child of the stars. You and your companion are the guardians. Together you must protect the balance." Leora stood before the stone, her heart racing. The voice was no longer just a whisper. It was a presence, ancient and powerful, speaking to her soul. Ash stood beside her, his head low, his body tense. He, too, could feel the weight of the words. "The world is out of balance," the voice continued. "Humans have forgotten their place in nature. They no longer listen to the animals, the plants, the earth. You and the wolfhound must heal the rift before it consumes all." Leora closed her eyes, letting the words sink in. The burden felt heavy, but something inside her stirred. The connection she had with Ash, the silent bond they shared, was more than just love. It was a duty, a calling. Ash stepped forward, his large paws shifting the earth as he growled in response. Leora knew he was ready. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the forest grew quiet again. The wind settled and the stone ceased its hum. Leora rose, a newfound sense of purpose in her heart. She turned to Ash, who stood tall and proud beside her. "We have to protect this world, Ash," she said, her voice firm. "We are the guardians." From that day forward, Leora and Ash were no longer just a girl and her dog. They were protectors of the natural world, chosen by the stars themselves. Their journey took them across mountains, through valleys, and into the deepest forests, seeking to restore the balance between humanity and the wild. Along the way, they encountered those who had forgotten their connection to the earth. Hunters who slaughtered for sport, villagers who plundered sacred groves, and kings who ignored the cries of the land. With Ash's strength and Leora's quiet wisdom, they reminded these people of the ancient truths. But their greatest challenge came when a darkness began to spread, a mysterious force that sought to corrupt the natural order. Leora and Ash would need all their courage, all their love for each other, to confront this evil and ensure that the balance was restored. In the end, it was not just their strength that would save the world, but their bond. A bond that transcended words, a bond that was forged in the stars. And so the girl and the wolfhound, the guardians of the wild, walked on side by side, ever vigilant, ever bound. The story of Leora and Ash is just beginning. They are but two souls bound by fate, walking a path that will challenge their hearts, test their courage, and remind us all of the power we hold in protecting the delicate balance between nature and ourselves. But this isn't just their journey. It's ours too. Every choice we make ripples through the world. Every step we take leaves an imprint on the earth we walk. Like Leora and Ash, we all have a responsibility to listen to the wilds, to protect the world that has nurtured us, and to remember that we are never alone. Our hearts beat with the rhythm of the land. So what will you do with the story of the girl and her wolfhound? Will you stand by the wild? Will you listen to the silent calls of nature, just as Leora listened to Ash? The world needs more guardians. It's time to find your path. Will you answer the call?